Welcome back to the Clappy and Frank Show. Today we have an outstanding guest that needs no introduction, the legendary, larger-than-life personality of Duddy Farkash.
Not so large.
It looks like the skinny shot or something's going on. He's looking great. He's looking great. Famous motivational speaker. 5-6 years ago when I was starting, I went to a trade show, and I was standing around not knowing nothing about the world of Judaica and art, and he came over to me. He gave me a shalom aleichem. He introduced me to some chamber of commerce guy. He said, this is the largest Judaica art dealer in the Jewish world. I walked away like $1 million with confidence. Duddy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Can we talk about his diet first? How many pounds? How'd you do it?
First of all, good morning. And you have to remember that an neshama comes down to this world for 70, 80 years just to do a favor for another Jew. Sometimes it's a favor, physical, mental, financial. And sometimes it's saying a good word. Telling somebody good morning. Just a few weeks ago, I read in the Pasha, how did Yosef become such a big star? Yes, the two prisoners. Why is your face down? And this is what caused this whole conversation. And then when they went out, they got him out of jail. Just by asking, not even his own people, they're talking about two goyim sitting there, Saramashkim, Saroifim, he says, Madua pneichem roim. Why do you look so sad? Why do you look so sad? I'm sitting in jail. Want me to look happy? But this question, sometimes you say a good word to someone, so doing a favor, over here we're sitting together.
Especially when you're a celeb, your good morning is
listen,
a lot higher value.
I don't know if I'm a celeb or not, but I know that I'm 50% less than what I was last time. And we sat together, we had a Zoom conference with you. I went from 420 pounds at my height to 230 pounds now. So today it's like about 190 pounds less. My father used to say, gold because, it's I say, yes.
You grew up in Yerushalayim in the 1970s?
Oh, you didn't ask me how he lost the weight?
Wait, we're going to get to that in a minute.
Okay.
You grew up in Yerushalayim. Your father and mother were not Chabad. Your father's a huge Paisik. He's a rabbi for rabbis. It's considered a huge Paisik. Wrote Svarim and Halacha. Like, not just the answers, Shilas, but big Shilas, big famous Shilas come to him. He's a huge Paisik. Your mother's from a legendary Yerushalmi family. You're Amram Bloy, the Turi Karta. Today you're like a big Zionist. You go around for Eretz Yisrael. You're like an ambassador for the state. But the grandparents were a little bit Kanoish, not Chabad. They came to Lubavitch. You have like, what, can I have 15 siblings?
17.
Told us Aaron.
17 siblings.
17.
I have 17 siblings.
Yeah. Canada, her huge Yerushalmi family. You could have been with a lange Streimel draying around in Meir Sharm over there. And you turned into a legendary American Lubavitcher, proud card-carrying Chabad chassid.
With the Dvar Malchus.
With the Dvar Malchus, wherever he goes, walking around with the Rebbe's Titus. Tell us a little bit about your childhood and your upbringing, because it's so unique.
So I want to put things in perspective, as they say. So, first of all, I come from one of the largest families in Yerushalayim. And my father is not just one of the biggest poskim of our generation. I was going to say, I always tell the Sfardim that Rabbi Ovadia Yosef brings my father in his books. Now my father redid it, Cholamoid Kil Chosid, that was the pioneer of all books about Cholamoid. Nobody ever made a book of Cholamoid. And when he was going out and was doing advertising for the book that's coming out, I said to him, why did you mention that Chaim Kanievsky and Shoyin Halachas mentions you 50 times? 50 times. He says, I'm doing what I have to do. I'm not looking to collect credit. But
his son compensates.
So regarding Zionism, I'm not promoting Zionism. I'm promoting Judaism. I'm promoting Eretz Yisrael, Yiddishkeit, whatever that gives to make. So growing up in Jerusalem, I grew up in Taka, as you said. I was born in the 70s. My father was at the process of transitioning from Todos Aaron to Lubavitch, which is a big story, because in those days, in the 70s, let me tell you something, guys. In the 70s, you rather convert to Christianity, then reconvert, then become a Baal Tshuva in Breslov, and then move to Lubavitch. You don't go straight from the Turkata to Lausanne, straight to Lubavitch. And as you said, my mother comes from Rabban Bloy. Rabban Bloy, it's not what it's in the Turkata today. Turkata today, this is not, I wouldn't call them Judies. They're not Jews. The Chaim Sonnenfeld, which is very powerful for this day. So Chaim Sonnenfeld, when they came to tell him, the Mufti, at the times of Hitler, that he says, we don't have a problem with you people. We have a problem with the Zionist. He says the difference between me and you is that you hate. You doing what you're doing is because of the hate that you have. We have love for Eretz Yisrael. So it's two different things, the way you do things. So Rambam was at a crazy, crazy love. He had letters from the Rebbe. He had a crazy, crazy love and passion. He never left Israel. Talking about Zionism. The guy never flew out of Israel. The guy never left what is called Eretz Yisrael. What bothered him was when Zionism came in and they wanted to take religion and do from it something that is, you don't have to be Jewish enough with a flag and a language. You don't have to do the mitzvahs. So me growing up there, then moving to Lubavitch, and the rest is history.
Your father was a rabbi of a shul or just a writer, like a loner?
My father was never a rabbi of a shul.
Gotcha.
Never a rabbi of a shul. He was a teacher all his life. He was a magichir in Teres Emes. Later on, he became the one who started the whole Russian yeshiva, was then the Rebbe. If you see all the dollar clips, very interesting, all the dollar clips, when my father goes by the Rebbe after he left being the magichir in Teres Emes, he was a magichir. Most of the Lubavitchers, today, the Rabbonim, Shluchim, families, my father was a teacher in Teres Emes. Everybody remembers him for good because he always was a Mekabel Kol Adam. Is still today, Mekabel Kol Adam, save upon him Yofis. But the best thing was that when he left Teres Emes, the Rebbe assigned him to open up to be a Rosh Yeshiva. It's called Shamir. It was called Shamir, remember?
Like the Niggin Shamil?
Shamir.
Shamil.
Shamir, like the Prime Minister. Shin Mem Yud Reish.
Shamir.
Shamir was then Danny Branover's father, Zolom Arif was named the Professor Branover at Shamir together with Chief, that Moise, and so Shoimri Mitzvahs, Yoitze Russia. This is, remember the famous Shnas Abinyan, Lubnei Yishuv Chabad B'Yerushalayim.
The old Russian Chamashim say Shamir.
Yeah, Shamir. They were the first big Russian, the Chamo Shamir. So he opened up the yeshiva. My father was the first guy to run the yeshiva, and by dollars, he's there, Dosif Shamir, Dosif Shamir, Dosif Shamir. People think the Rebbe is giving him dollars for Prime Minister Shamir, but he meant for the yeshiva. So my father being an educator all his life, and then after Shamir...
When did he become famous?
He was always famous.
Always known.
Always known, because he was you have to understand, he was the Tel Dasan. For this, we can have a podcast of 3 hours also. My father was the Tel Dasan Rebbe's right-hand man. First of all, he was born after the war in the DP camps, in the same DP camps the Rebbe Tzalchana was.
Pucking.
In Pucking, Germany. You have to keep it clean, but if you look at the Israeli passport, it says clearly what type of Germany it is. And there's no Nekudas in the Israeli passport, but he was born in Pucking.
So how did you end up in stocking shelves? Your father's a big rabbi, Mechaber's farm.
Wait, well, don't jump the gun.
I want to jump. That's the interesting part.
We're going to get to the interesting part, but I want to just say, Mesiras Nefesh of a Yingamam. You're talking about a guy who comes from Germany, who gets raised in Tel Aviv, Jaffa, because they got off the boat over there, and moves to Bnei Brak, becomes Talmid Chaviv of Rav Wosner. Rav Wosner, till the last day of his life, was in love with my father. It was always by sitting where he's right. The pride of Rav Wosner was Rav Farkash. And all of a sudden, Rav Wosner is not frum enough for him, and he goes to Tel Dasan. He becomes the right-hand man. He was the Rebbe's Oisbucher, as they say. He was everything for the Tel Dasan, everything. Then he joins over there, the three biggest guys, the giants of Tel Dasan, Reb Meir Braunsdorfer, who was the head of the Charedis, it was the Rov of Tel Dasan, and from Yovich, you sit and learn that they create one of the biggest developments in Halacha. My father's expertise, Taras HaMishpacha. And then, out of nowhere, he goes and he joins Lubavitch, and what are you doing? The guts that you have, the Mesiras Nefesh that you have, this is what created a family that we see all the Farkashes, Usher in Argentina, and Velvel over here, Mortcha, Zalman. My mother had 17 children. None of them are home. You understand? Everybody's on shlichus. I'm the only one who came out, as he said. Now we can talk about the grocery. So what happens to a Farkash? How do you go from...
You came here driven in an Escalade. I want to know how the grocery guy... Chauffeured. How the guy in the Escalade, where he started. Like, I heard something about stocking shelves. Could you tell us more? You got married. Where were you in that part of your life?
I'll tell you in simple words. I didn't start off stocking shelves. It sounds good, the story that I started off stocking shelves. But in simple words, I started off by moving into this country, and because it was very hard for a religious Jew to get parnasa in Israel. Actually, right after I got married, Rabbi Lipson in South Africa took me to work at Chabad. Torah Academy in Johannesburg. I was a teacher. I was doing very well there. Problem with Johannesburg was that a lot of crime, people were getting killed, and it turned out to be a major, major chaos. I had my first daughter, Liba, was born in Johannesburg. After 2 years, we decided to go back to Israel. When I came to Israel, I bought an apartment in Kiryat Malachi at the time. I was in a situation that I couldn't get a job in Israel. You can be good looking, you can have the talk and walk the walk and exciting and, very, very charming, but asita tzava? First question. Doesn't matter that I did over a year of service for the Israeli prison system. It's a story for itself, the way the Rebbe sent me out of 3-4 choices. The Rebbe sent me to become a chaplain of a prison in Israel when I was 18 years old. Go figure. It's a story for itself. I got thrown out of 9 schools, yeshivas and everything else. I'm here walking the streets of Crown Heights because in those days, what do? You have nowhere to go. You go to Crown Heights. I went to Detroit camp, and then I ended up in Ganesrol. Who sent you? They said, my name is out. He said, Yossi Futaf, how did you get here? I said, with a short line. What do you mean, how did I get here? What are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I'm here to, it's camp, Ganesrol. Yeah, but what am I going to do? I ended up staying in Siberia at the time. Y.Y. Jacobson was that. It was a very special song.
How old are you?
Now?
No, then when you were in Sydney, when you rolled into America.
At that time, I was 18 years old.
18 years old.
And then the Rebbe sends me to be a prison chaplain. So coming there, then coming to South Africa, coming back to Israel, it didn't help. Nobody wanted to give me a job because it was like the resume had to have certain credentials, and what do you have as a, what is it called? BA, MA, all this stuff. I always said I had PhD, which I also didn't have. It was a PhD, so I have public high school diploma, but I didn't even get a public high school diploma. So I ended up looking for a job. My brother Velvel, the tzaddik, had a friend of his, still has his friend, one of his best friends is Yossi Gordon, from Chabad campus. And at that time, he was running a luggage business. He was selling luggage, Samsonite luggage, and he had his own line of luggage. He was looking for a good salesman. And he took the risk of bringing a Yerushalmi. You understand? This is the big story. I mean, I come off the boat. I'm going to be the salesman at that time.
Commission, salary, mix?
What?
Salary?
We're going to get into it. This not the... Let's
I don't know if there was a risk. How big risk?
He had a risk of taking me in as a salesman. You don't bring a Yerushalmi to sell Samsonite luggage.
You were married with a child.
I was married with a child.
So it's a big achrayus. You're bringing it to America.
At that time, the mother of my children was pregnant because my daughter, Rose, who is now Reza, was a big lawyer. She was born 2 months later after I started. So I came here in April. This is a story for itself. I was getting in my papers to come to America. For itself. Yeah, I'm saying. I come to America. I didn't have getting a visa. Mamish Chazdei Hashem. It's an unbelievable Katchila Riba story that you can make a movie about it. I come to America and I walk into, that time it was called a dark operation. There was 8-hour electronics. Allah Shalom Lavdam Chaim Yudel Becker. That Shneur Minsky worked for him and all this guy. Yeah,
Shneur Minsky's like the biggest Gvir in Lubavitch today.
Yeah, so Shneur was a salesman for 8-hour electronics and I was a salesman for 8-hour luggage. Was that something? And I come in and he gives me a bag with catalogs and he says to me, sink or swim. I said, sink or swim. I know what sinking, what swimming is. English, please. Just, when you go into the pool, it's either you're going to drown or you're going to swim.
Who's this? Yossi tells us to.
Yeah, I went to the city. I didn't know where the east or the west is. I'm from here to China. I ended up a whole day, but I sold luggage.
Those Indian luggage stores and the
every store in the city that sold electronics sold luggage. And if they didn't sell electronics, sell luggage, they would sell luggage. Everybody. I walked every day from 35th to 30th. I walked the city from Monday to Friday, every day.
And you did well?
Yossi Gordon did well. I don't know. I sold the luggage.
You go into a store and you say, I carry Samsonite luggage.
Yeah.
Net 30, net 90, net. Do they pay? Do they not pay?
Everybody needs luggage. You come into a store.
How do they pay you for the schayra?
That was Avrami Zuntz, that now. Listen,
Direct.
He was the CFO of 8-hour corporation. Yeah, he's the sweetest guy in the world.
Was that your first sales experience, the luggage?
Yes, the luggage was my first sale experience. And Baruch Hashem, there's people I'll remember that there's certain times I had to walk a sample. There was that time Yossi bought a line of luggage from Taiwan. It was called Eminent, like the wine, the wine, Babich wine.
Yeah, Zaykon's wine, Eminent Rye or something.
Eminent Rye, yeah. This is what a line of luggage, and it was to compete against Samsonite's art cases. Samsonite had the plastic suitcases, plastic shell. You bought a no. Now, what happened was that Samsonite at the time had an advertisement that had a gorilla jumping on the luggage to show how strong they are. So I would walk into the store and I would jump on top of the luggage from this.
Before you were skinny.
Yeah, to show how strong it is. No, who wouldn't buy such a strong suitcase? But this is it. And that from there, I went to become a teacher because the luggage business ended up closing down. It was the last stretch and everything else. And
how long did you sell luggage for? Would you say around?
2 years.
Okay.
I went to teach in after here in Long Island, Hebrew Academy for the Rich, they called it at the time. And Hebrew Academy in 5 Town Rockaway. Was very successful there. And then some friends in Crown Heights said, darf machen Parnus. I mean, you're a teacher, but they actually paid very well. By the time I bought a house on Union Street. So 2 of my friends in Beis Shmuel, then we started Beis Shmuel also with Moshe Pinson. I was the Gabe.
I came to Beis Shmuel when I was 17 or 18 years old. I'm 39, 22 years ago, because I was a substitute. I wasn't the Rebbe in the Shabbos program, but I was a substitute a few times for Taka for South Africans. Had the job. They paid really well. And I remember coming to Shabbos morning like 9:45, and you were with gloves and herrings and sushis and cholents and kugels, and you were fressing cholent and kishke before davening. You were like a big personality in Beis Shmuel.
I was the Gabe of Beis Shmuel.
You were the Gabe?
I was the Gabe for the
pre Shimi Shafran.
Shimi is the kitchen. Shimi takes care of the gashmias of Beis Shmuel. He makes sure that everybody gets served. So if you saw me eating, it's because Shimi is nice to me. Nobody gets it. Shimi happens to be that Shimi is a friend of mine from the days of camp, and Shimi's wife was my student in South Africa in the seminary. So I'm just saying that it's a small world, but I was a Gabba, and at the same time, 2 people in Shul came and offered me to become their salesman for a company that he started, which also didn't go too far.
Which company?
I'm not going to get into it. And I ended up on the street one day.
Literally
on the job. Not because of them, because they sold me to some some guy that they decided that I'm going to be doing well with it. This guy was interesting dude for himself. And I ended up on the street. So what do you do? First of all, I was involved in Avas Chesed with Rabbi Lida of blessed memory. Every day go to the hospital. I can make a book about it. We can make
brother of Velvo, my Rebbe, he was very involved in Avas Chesed.
That's how
still today?
Yes. Velvo is still today. Velvo is the one actually always got me to where I am in life. He's my oldest brother, the Bechor. He's the first Farkash. And he got me. That's how I got to know everybody also, because of Velvo. Velvo deserves all the credit in the world. But the best part was that Avas Chesed, I would go sometimes with Rabbi Lida in the hospital in the morning, but sometimes, most of the time. And 2 Yerushalmis, you can make a... If you had a GoPro camera, I would tell you the best comedy show in town. But one day, I'm going with Rabbi Lida to visit. We're going to the hospital, open up the books. It was printed books. We look at the names, show up who came overnight. There was Da'it and Stockenid, who is here, who is there, what's going on? Who is in the emergency room, who is in cardiology. So we go through the book and this, and all of a sudden I look at Rabbi Lida and I see the guy's going through some sort of a... Episode. I'm like looking at him and I say, what are you doing? He starts crying. By him, he would always get very emotional. I took him on the spot, put him on a stretcher over there, one of the hospital beds, and I'm rolling him down the hallway. Coming in, I took over the page. It was a small episode. Nothing happened, but I'm saying everything. But what do you do? So I'm with Rabbi Lida. Rabbi Lida had his office over here on New York Avenue. Right next door was the Shuk. So he finished doing Chesed. They started saying Troy over here. No, he's New York. He's New York before the market. So Rabbi Lida had an office inside one of those. I call it Bora Bora buildings. The East New York buildings on the corner. So I used to go buy myself something, a snack, dinners. I would go, I'd sit in the office. Officially wanted me to help out, but but I did chesed. What can I do? I don't know. And my kids, one of the most amazing, I'm telling you, this also, if you don't know, are you going to be successful in life? My kids never saw me in bed. They never woke up in the morning going to school, Tati sleeping. Remember my daughter, Rika, who was in Florida today, got married last year. She once wrote you have to write in Beis Rivka about your parents. She wrote, my father, I've never seen my father in bed. Meaning to say, it's a very, when you are successful, when you want to be successful in life, you get up in the morning, no matter if you have a job or don't have a job. So by me, my morning started at 5:30. So 6 o'clock, I would go to shul at Chavrusa with Yasa the Gravich, Beis Shmuel at the time had a minyan inside the old Lubavitch Yeshiva on Chavaveh, where Chavaveh is today. And then I would go help out, Chesed, leader, this, look at. So when I walked into the shuk over here, it was called the shuk on the corner of East New York. Shlomi was there at the time. Shlomi Ifagan, I think his name was. And he was there, and I said, listen, you have a situation, let's make this place. I'm looking what to do. And I became a shelf. I started cleaning up the shuk, tomatoes, potatoes, take out the rot, the bed. Fruity Pebbles, separate them from the fruit. I didn't know the Fruit Loop and Fruity Pebbles is twee andere Sachen, because by us we never had cereal. Know what cereal was. But organizing the stores to come in the morning, 8 o'clock, clean up the cat's litter, and make sure that they're literally, and then we went to to get the kashrus for the butcher. And then we got Glick to open up his bakery. And then everything was the beginning stages. My palnos, at the same time, people were saying, Duddy, Bishmo, after business, you're sitting over here, standing in a grocery store, and I was standing there, and people would come, neighbors, members of the shul. This was the supermarket of Crown Heights at the time.
Right.
You had Koltuv, and you had Shuk.
That was a big one. Shuk was a big one.
And I said, listen, I would do anything to make Parnasa home. I say I made very small money, very little money, but it was good enough to, I gave my at the time, I had 2 cars before I went to work. This is something that is an unbelievable lesson in life. I had 2 cars. I had a minivan and I had a Honda Pilot. I was king of the world, Listing Direct. By the way, I was one of the first cars in Listing Direct, or maybe the second car. Avrami Zuns went to drive it all the way from Utica, New York, I don't know where he drove it from, with Yuda Bernstein, and they didn't let him smoke in the car because they're going to deliver. And then he comes to deliver the car, and I walk in at the time I was smoking. I walk into the car and I fire up a cigarette. I said, I'm
They're driving 10 hours, they couldn't have a cigarette, and you buy the cigarette.
Anyway, to make a long story, so I had it on the Pilot, and so I went and I sublist, so I sublist my Honda Pilot to some Israeli guy in Flatbush, and I gave the mother of my children the minivan to keep the minivan. So there was money coming in so you can pay at least the lease and the gas and some of the bills in the house. But the main thing was taking a bag of food home. If it's fruits, if it's vegetables, if it's chocolates and this. And on Thursday night, I would go help out and I'd take out in Borough Park. I would stand in Adar Geula until 2 o'clock in the morning so I can take some dips. For Shabbos, on Fridays, I would stay till 3 o'clock, and I wasn't embarrassed. I said, I have clients of mine today. When I walk into them, he says, you're the guy from Adar Geula. I had no problem doing whatever it takes to bring home Parnas. And the best part is that my children, when you speak to my children, they never even knew this happened. There was everything in the house. So it's nicht gefällt garnished. There was food, there was gas, there was stock, everything was going on. And this is something that you have to give credit to this community. I mean, Beis Shmuel at that time, there are members in the show, and Moshe and other members, or literally, Moshe Pinson, who literally stepped up to the plate. I owed money on the street to people who had borrowed money. I ended up, Baruch Hashem, paying everybody back. But I'm saying that the dedication, the worry, the care. I remember being Gaber, that Rosh Hashanah, that I was at the lowest of the lowest, talking about finishing work in the grocery, Erev Rosh Hashanah. Mamish, gesagt, I live nishbo. But at home, everything is perfect. There are guests coming for Tishrei. There's 50 people, the meal and everything else. Moshe calls me up. He says, I want you to do Tkiyas this year. You understand? Tkiyas Shofar, you're talking about And then I realized the story with Alter Rebbe, that the guy lost Kavonas, that he was so broken-hearted. Then I did Kiyas that year. And then in Kippur, Sefer Torah, opening the Sefer Torah, David Ragatsky bought me the Sgula for Ashiras. And 3 months later, I joined the financial business. So this is something you have to understand, the sensitivity, the care that's till today I have a course of to everybody. There are people.
Moshe Pinson gives out millions of dollars a year.
It's not just the giving out. It's being in a place where you know, throughout till today, talking about knowing he's doing it Moshe Pinson style. But it's being there when needed and in the best way possible. So. Working in the shuk, a guy came in, another amount of here in Crown Heights. It's an interesting story that I always like to say. Oren Popper, who was a life insurance salesman, who was working at the time. He was one of the big stars in New York Life. He actually took me to New York Life 3 or 4 years before that to meet up with a big guy in New York Life in the big famous tower, sitting at the top of the tower. The guy pulled out a cigar. He says, "Hey, you're wasting your time being a teacher. You in this business, you can be the biggest..." And I look, and he started showing me pictures on the wall of Sam Friedman and all the big shots in the industry, and the guy who died.
They planted the seed 4 years
before. I went out there, and I said, I love teaching. I really love teaching. And he told me on the way out, he says, being a life insurance agent, I used to always say, to teach is to touch a life forever. I was a teacher all my life. I was a teacher. The guy who got thrown out from all the schools, I ended up being a teacher. I was a teacher in South Africa. I was a teacher in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, when they started the school with Doron Eisenman and Yoska. I was a substitute in Olatera till today that our kids remember. I was the worst student, but I was the best teacher. I don't think I was the worst student. The teachers at the time didn't know how to handle a guy without. Though today you take Adderall, but I'm saying, but those days, they didn't know how to handle it.
Pre-Adderall.
I don't blame them. 25 kids sitting in a class and don't stay in Shepsala all day. They're blundering on us, jumping, a big guy with his payers, tuck, 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 tuck. Let's get rid of him. I always say to teachers to touch a life forever. So he says, this is the business to be in. Then I left, and I'm in the shuk. Ron Papa walks in. He tells me, Erev Rosh Hashanah, that year, Tafshin, I think it was Tafshin, what are we, Tafshin Pei now?
For Pei Vav now.
Tafshin Pei Vav, so it was Tafshin Ayin Vav, or Tafshin Ayin Zayin. He walks in, he goes, was Tafshin Ayin Zayin? He says to me, Duddy, this guy passed away. His name was also Gordon. He says, I think his name is George Gordon. He said, he passed away. Maybe it's time you fulfill his tzavah. You don't belong here in a supermarket. Come, I'll take you. And then he took me to BFG.
Brooklyn Financial
Group. And I walked into BFG in the middle of work. I was busy over here in the supermarket. I walked in, they had an interview with me, the big Chachamim, the Goyser Rebbes, the Satmar Rebbes. We do training only in Yiddish. Okay, Yiddish is my first language. Wie also redst du Yiddish? Ich was einfach gewachsen in meiner Schule. Wie mein... I'm on Blaze and I... Sign the deal is done.
Right. Hold on, but your sales charm, you never knew you had it. You never realized, like, it's funny. How old were you when you joined BFG? 35?
I was
30?
At least 35.
35, and you didn't realize you had this
maybe 34.
Human, personal connection, sales ability ever until that. When did it hit you? I
have sales. I sold Samsonite. I know I was a salesman. Many, many times I was offered to go into the real estate business, to do this business, be a salesman. But I said, well, my life is a salesman. We're walking around selling encyclopedias. What is a salesman? That day, you say a salesman, you don't trust a salesman. You can throw him as far as, there's like some sort of a saying in America.
Throw him as far as he could or whatever. Get rid of
especially in life insurance. I remember when I joined life insurance business, I called some of my friends in Crown Heights. One of the underground Gvirim of Crown Heights picked up the phone and said, what? Shemsachnish, what are you going to say? Life insurance? It's a bush and a chalpa. What are you doing? What are you getting
coming
yourself?
From the grocery store.
Then, and the time, I said to him, listen, I don't think there's a more noble profession. If you do it right, there's no more noble profession. I've been doing it now for close to 20 years. Today in our day and age, you can send a check even via WhatsApp, but that delivering a check to a family. How many families of Shluchim? How many families in this neighborhood? How many families in California, all over the United States?
Arizona.
That have been delivered checks. Bayaleinu. Nobody outlived the world. They say when somebody says,
do you remember your first sale?
Yeah, somebody says to me, life insurance how's the life insurance? I said, it's a dead business. However, it's called life insurance. And I want to tell you something. There's no bigger thing than giving people the peace of mind. I had a situation that everybody knows with a guy. Recently, I'm talking about, I'm not going to say how recently it is, but that turned into one of the big campaigns of charity, that the family reached out to me right after he suddenly died. Very, very young man, successful and everything. The family reached out. It was beginning having being successful. The family reached out to me. They found in his house, and it happened to me a few times, they found in his house papers of life insurance illustrations and numbers and pricings on his desk, which had my name on it because of the agency I'm in. And they called me up. They said, you have $3 million of insurance. The brother actually called me up. And I said to him, I'm very, very sorry to tell you, but I'm going to forward you my last voice note with your brother-in-law. I told them that if you don't give me a check for $250 within the next couple of days, they're going to cancel your plan. You got approved $250. The guy is probably in late 30s or early 40s. $3 million of life insurance and giving me the runarounds. Like I'm the guy over here trying to sell him some verstunken of a kartoffelkugel. You understand? I got you approved. And getting approved people is not easy, especially in the Jewish community. We all like to, the guy walked into a restaurant in Williamsburg. He said, what do you have? Like, I have gehackte leber.
Saying they're not so healthy.
Everybody has stuffed kishke. No, I didn't ask you problems with you. I said, what do you have to eat? You understand? We all have stuffed liver, we have stuffed derm, all that kishke is there. But the bottom line is...
Dave, if people don't have your charm, your height, your good looks, your blue eyes, how could they sell? Give us some tips to selling. Because you look like a late-blooming sales guy. 35, you just started selling.
Everybody...
Could you obviously have a dynamic, you have confidence, you're a charming guy. It always helped you to some degree throughout until you hit your BFG life. But if someone doesn't have your charm and human connection, could they be a successful salesperson?
100%. 100%. One of my first big events in the insurance industry was invited to speak in a place called the Pelican Hill Resort. It's one of the most fanciest resorts in California. And I was given a presentation on stage. A 45-minute presentation on the secrets of the success, and that event is only for the top players in the industry. Like the G7 of the insurance.
Creme de la creme.
The creme de la creme. It's not mentioned with boy in the shich, the fancy, like
you.
The Burberry, not just in the scarf, and
not just in the scarf.
Expensive watches, and they smell good. Not just this. That resort is when you wake up in the morning and you say good morning on the phone. There's a car waiting for you, a Mercedes, to take you from your room to the lobby, from the lobby to the toilet. Everywhere they're driving you around in Porsches. Listen,
that's where you got the taste.
You got to hear this because you asked me a question. It's very, very important to understand. What does it take to be successful
in sales?
And I got up, and they asked me, "What's my secret in this business?" Because when I came into this business, I was a phenomenon. The first year, I was New Agent of the Year. The famous speech I spoke about my grandfather, about the Holocaust, and a big event in Orlando, in Disney World, like the Oscars night. And I gave a speech. And the second time I was given that, 3-4 years later, they asked me to give it a big, where the exclusive thing is. And I said. I rolled up, what's called a PowerPoint or whatever it is. When you speak this,
the presentation.
You have teleprompters. I don't read English so well, but I figured out what it's going to say. And there was a presentation. When you talk in the presentation, when they make rehearsal, they're going to pop up things while you talk. The first thing I put up was a picture of the Rebbe. They have to understand. I'm sitting over there, and I have, 1 second, there's people over here, the Shliach over there, and another guy from California that came in, and my brother Amram invited, because I wanted to have nachas a little bit to see how the Yerushalmi boy from Meir Sharm is speaking in front of all the big shots. And I pictured the Rebbe, and I said, this is my role model. And the next slide, I'm not going to get into the whole speech, was a picture of the first Kinnus HaShluchim in 770, where they're standing on the bleachers in the back of 770. And the next slide was Kinus Ashluchim, Tafshin, whatever, the Samach test, Tafshin High and Bays, I don't know, there's 5,000-6,000 people standing there in the crowd, this is not a Hasidic Lubavitcher crowd. And I was telling them, I'm going to get to the punchline, that think about a 20-year-old, a 21-year-old that goes on shlichus. You ask him, how are you successful? What makes him successful? Is he a salesman? A guy who went to Altera and he opens a Chabad house. Look at all the shluchim and you look at the shluchim picture. How many of them would you give the title charming salespeople? Their success is because they believe in what they sell. Everybody can be successful if you believe in what you sell. You don't have to be charming. I know.
So when you sell a policy, you really feel you're helping this person?
Well, not just this. I walk into a client. I remember first took Buch to one of my first meetings. We're going to meet this client. Told Buch on the way, guy is worth $4 billion.
With a B.
With a B.
In your first year, hold on, Duddy. In the first year, you get a $4 billion client.
No, my first year with partnership with Buch. This is fast forward. If I'm 4 or 5 years in the business, my partner, RFK, the R is Rosinger, F is Farkash, K is Kanstam. So Rosinger was my first guy. When I came up to him, I said, I want to partner up with you. He was like April Fool's with Machstra. And I said, no, I'm looking for somebody that is going to do what he does best. I'm a guy. I'm a salesman. I can open doors. So the first meeting I took him to a guy who's worth $4 billion. He starts crying, He's a ballpark here with the pants that he bought by Wolf on 13th Avenue and the shirt that he got from Wisner, the right and left. And glasses, I said, what do you want from me? I said, you do what you do best. I'll do what I do best. And I said to him, listen, this $4 billion guy is very, very good at what he does. We're not getting involved in his business. We're not telling him what he has to sell. We are here to give him the best life insurance product because there's one thing that he doesn't know is life insurance. He knows everything. 90% of the people, when I went into business, they asked me, what's my elevator pitch?
The 90-second elevator pitch.
Yeah. It's not nice. It's a 10-second elevator pitch. I said, what is your elevator pitch? I said, 90% of the money in this country is controlled by 10% of the people. I put you in the 10%. When somebody does life insurance and financial planning, this is the money that is in control with. Everything with all the fancy, they tell him you put in there, he gets a chart at the end of the month, his bells going up and down, the shit's rises, what's going on? The market is doing extremely, now holding every young guy I speak to. S&P, S&D, they say names, index, I'm doing crazy, I should put money in life. I don't say, take the money, play the market, I have no problem, but put them somewhere safe. You can continue doing what you're doing. But money that it needs to be safe, put it in a safety deposit box. For every dollar that you put in that box, you get $1,000 of insurance. You don't get it in S&P. You don't get it in the bank. Nobody will give you for putting away $1 a month, $1,000 of insurance. If tomorrow morning, my kids are going to have, what are your kids going to have? You're going to live for 65. What's going to be in 10 years from now?
Duddy, if we could do if you could tell someone, here are 3 steps you do in a sale, what do you tell them? Pick up the phone, call, give us 3 steps.
The first thing is believe in what you sell.
Okay.
Don't go in to sell something where you're going to come in and you're going to start keketzing, as they say, by the Hasidim, Even if you sell cholent.
So who do you start with? Your family, friends?
Wait, we're getting to a price giving advice. First thing is,
of all, you believe in the product.
Gotcha.
And if you don't believe in the product, don't sell it.
Don't sell it. Because a guy will send it right away. You walk into a guy. So what is the benefit of your water better than the water that Maim Chaim is selling? I don't drink water. So why are you selling water? Right, it's like somebody selling diets. He never kept a diet. There was a guy who was selling diets in Brooklyn. There was a line from here to China. You walk into the guy. This is the diet guy. Guess what? It lasted for a year.
Key is to believe what you're selling.
Key is to really believe and live at what you're selling. You have to be a family man.
How many hours a day did you spend working when you started?
Listen, when I start, everything you start, I spent till today. I spent, my entire, which is the next thing in the business. When you believe in something and you want to be a good salesman and you want to sell the product, you dedicate the time of learning anything there is to know about the product. Knowing the product, knowing your competition, and knowing what's the best way to go about it. And you have to remember another thing. Someone asked me 2 days ago on an interview, what is your motto in the business? How do you get, what do you do when you speak to? I said, one of the first things when I joined the business, I told people, I used to work with people. And a guy tells me, after I die, well, I don't care what can happen after I die. I say, get up, and I say, thank you. And I say, let's close the book right now. Now we can have coffee and cake. I'm not going to do business with you. I said, what do you mean? I said, I do business only with people who care. People who don't care.
Not my client. So
not my
client.
So you, first of all, you have to be that person. Not just believe, you have to be that person who cares. You care for your family, you care for your loved one. Second thing is, you constantly have to go and look who you're going to sell. I remember when I started in the business and I spoke in BFG, they wanted to know how I sold 120 people, 120 policies within a few months. I joined the business in February. 120
crazy
life insurance policies within less than a year. And I made new agent of the year with less than a year. They want to know what my secret says. First of all, I said the famous story, which is a very good one, which is the funniest story that we're sitting over there.
What's the famous story?
With Moshe Dayan, that he was driving the car. You know the story with Moshe Dayan?
with one eye or something.
With one eye. I said,
With speeding.
You rather me look at the speedometer or look at the highway? I said, I didn't look at the speedometer. I was running around the whole year. You're saying working. And I remember speaking at BFG's event about helping the people. I said, when I go to a wedding, when I go to a simcha, when I walk into shul in the morning to daven, I pulled out at the time, today we have cell phones, but at the time I pulled out my pen from my pocket and I take out my business card and I write in the back, oh, I just saw Easy Clappman, I got to call him tomorrow morning to sell my policy. I just saw Moshe, I have to call him.
You're obsessed.
No, I looked, I said, and this is how I did it. I had a box with 2,000 names sitting in my office.
And just called.
And I called. So some people say, oh, Duddy, anytime you come by my office. Some people say, I'm not interested. You know, that's the second thing. So first of all, you have to work. It's not just being a salesman, believing what you sell. You need to have people that you're going to call. Or people, you have to get in the car.
Leads.
And go and sell. Number three is which is a very, very important thing, is not to be afraid of rejection. Forget about somebody who's not a salesman, not charming. Confidence. The guy's going to tell me no. I'm going to call it easy. Big Stroll Clappman, the star today. He's today is the biggest star in the Jewish world. Everybody wants to see what he talks about the donuts and about life insurance, and he did a great job promoting. Was it the Shmuley? What did you do? What did you promote life insurance? The guy approached you on the street. You spoke about selling your life insurance the other day.
I don't remember the guy writing a check, so we're going to ignore it.
So I'm going to say, people look at you. So imagine I call and I say, Straw, I heard you put a life insurance policy. Can I take a look at what you bought and I can help you? And he says, no, I'm not interested. I'm good. So you say, okay, I just got rejected by Easy Clappman. So people have the major fear of picking up the phone. What's going to happen? My grandfather told me one day when I was going through the rough times and American Express was calling and this and see everybody was going, says, as long as they don't come with the trains to pick up your kids, don't be afraid. What are you afraid of?
Unbelievable.
Seriously.
You're saying we went through the worst. Big deal. A guy tells you no, I don't want to give you business.
Okay. No.
The more rejections you get, somebody's going to say yeah.
What was the most times you called someone until they bought something? What's the record?
I want to tell you something. I have a lot of stories, but this one is a good one. There was a guy in this neighborhood that I was going after for a long time that he didn't want to give me the business. But I knew, because sometimes the business, I saw who he's doing the business with. Somehow figuring out, and I said, listen, this guy is getting a cat in this. Chatul Basak is getting done. Someone is enjoying his wealth the wrong way possible, because in life insurance there's many ways you can make commissions in many different ways. If you there's policies that are guarantees, non-guarantees, and then I saw this is what's being done with this guy. I said, listen, I didn't stop. I said, okay, I'll let you review the policies. I took the policies, and reviewing doesn't cost money. I took the policy, reviewed, and I came back and I said to him, listen, do whatever you want, but this product, you're paying a lot of money. There's a lot of money in there, but soon you're going to turn a certain age and there's going to start losing the money. He said, what are you talking about? I said, he says, the guy who sold it to me is 40 years in the business. I said, I don't care, it's 40 years. I'm 2 years in the business. I'm just telling you. It's not 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. You know, go online, do your research to show you what it is. So what can you, I can save you. I said, I'm going to take with this. And in life insurance, you can do different things and helping people. Try first of all getting a better product, or sometimes changing the product into whatever it is supposed to be done in order to get the guy the right place. Leave that product, get yourself other life insurance. Do whatever you can do to protect yourself, so you have the life insurance and the money and everything there. He ended up giving me the business. Okay, we're very happy. We picked up a check. Me and my partner, it was Layud and Moisera. It was a very nice check. Comes back a month later. He says, listen, a few weeks later, he said, listen. A few days later, we thought about it. We want to stop. Decide. Not everything you told me is. Not everything you told me is what it is. I said, listen. My name is Duddy Farkash. I'm one of 17. I'm coming from one of the most respected families in Lubavitch. If you think I steered you wrong, and I'm a goner, tomorrow morning, I'll bring you your money back. Called up the insurance company, canceled the policy, and they delivered a check to my office 2 days later. 2 weeks later, whatever it was, I come to the guy, I call him up, I say, I have a check for you. My partner was mamish in tears because, but I said the money is more than everything. The kids, there was like, I said, don't worry. The Eibishter geht, the Eibishter nimmt, there's a Seher Shalayim. Moshe Pinson always makes fun. Hashem, Nozan Hashem, lo kach Hashem will. Bigger and better. Call up the client. I say, I have a check for you. He says, no, you don't. I say, yes, I do. What do you think? I'm writing out my check. You think I'm going to give you back money that I don't? I have a check. I got you. I spoke to the company. I said, this made a mistake. The client was still in the period that you can have a look back period. And we're going to give you your money back. He said, I cannot be in the look back period. It's better. I said, I got you a check. Go back there, come and sit down with him. He takes the check. It's a big check.
How much?
Looks,
how big did he?
Big check.
6 digits. 6 digits.
6 digits. And he looks at the check and he goes, you know what? I told the guy who is 40 years in the business that you told me that if I have a change of mind, you'll give me my money back because I believe so much in what you do. And he told me it's never going to happen. I'm 40 years in the business, you never get the money back. And now you delivered, now let's redo the policy. Me, my brother, and double the amount. So I'm just going to tell you, I didn't know what's going on behind the scenes, but just telling you that a guy goes to something, this guy. I'll tell you another story. There's a lot of agents here in Crown Heights that I helped get into the business. Some of them I helped get into the business. Some
you
of
create
them,
your own competition.
Yeah. The Southerners were going crazy. We're bringing in people who are going to fight you. I said, I have no problem. There's Panosa, everybody. I grew up in Yerushalayim. There was 10 groceries on one block. Everybody made Panosa. For us, it was very good because we went and we wrote on the...
Had credit by
everybody. What's your name? One like was my grandmother, my father, my uncle, everybody. I knew where everybody... Just to pick up a gumbo. Baruch Hashem, I paid back with interest. But what I want to say is that at one time, I want to tell you, people like Klein Keppeldick, and you look at them and they say, they're as long as me in the business, but they don't get to wherever they get. One of the reasons that's partnership of me and Burg, the RFK, the whole partnership of Rosing and Farkash comes from the success, the reason for the success. Faginen. I don't know how to say faginen in English. How do you say faginen?
It's a hard word to translate.
Let other people win.
Yeah, like fagin.
Win-win.
Let them make money. I remember I got a call one night from one of the community Askonim. A woman lost her husband. A young woman. And another life insurance agent came in and he helped her, first of all, with a payout. He was a young agent who joined the business. He helped her with the payout, what to do in this. And as part of the money, he bought life insurance. And the guy who was helping the family, one of the Askanim in the community, wanted me to review He knew me.
The new policy.
He wasn't a client of mine, this guy. He's a very, very respectful guy. He wanted me to review, to make sure that young agent sold the right policy. So he arranged a meeting with me in Almana. We went to her house over here in Crown Heights. I sat down with her. It was late at night. And I think your mother was there, everything. I sat down, I looked at this, and told her what she has to do to make the policy better. And when I went out, I called the agent, and I said, I wouldn't do it, but I was asked by one of the family people in charge of this inheritance to look over what you did. This woman is going to give you a check for another $35,000. Go pick it up before you place this policy. I gave Ashgocha, and you made another couple of dollars. Well, why did you go? Well, why were you? I'm not asking you to give me commissions on that. I just say thank you. Oh, I have to tell you thank you also. But so Baruch Hashem is an agent. He never lifted up from the level he is. I'm sure he's going to probably watch this show, or I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, nothing is going to happen if you say thank you. Nothing is going to happen and say, wow, you saved me, you helped me.
Why do you think people have a problem saying thank you?
This is something you can bring about for hours.
Okay.
We can talk about
in a nutshell.
Why do we wake up in the morning and we say Moidane? What the whole idea?
We had this sort of topic we spoke about.
Moshe asked me a few nights ago about why people are not saying thank you. And I said, I think people are not saying thank you is because they have to, they'll rather give you a check of $10,000, but if they say thank you, I help a guy out, he should call me out the next day and say, by the way, I needed this connection, I needed this person, I needed this help with this, whatever it is. Thank you so much. But I feel like when they give you a gift, it's like, oh, but when they say thank you, it's like they're vulnerable. They needed my connection.
The Rebbe speaks about it. That one of the biggest things people are afraid to say thank you. And you know what? This week's Parsha. This is unbelievable that you're asking this question. What is Moshe Rabbeinu's name? Moshe. Who gave him the name?
Zipporah.
Paro's daughter. The guy who was ready to kill all the Jews. The Hitler of the generation. His daughter gives the name Moshe, and God says this is going to be the name. What with all the names the Gemara talks about? What with his name that he had over there? What was his name? Tuvia, and all the... His mother gave him, his father gave him, all the Jewish names. Nobody even knows what they are. Because the Eibishter wanted people to know that she is the one who saved the child. She is the one, Takia Basya, Takia Paro's daughter, but she saved the leader of the Jewish people. She chose the name Moshe. Thank you. His name is going to be Moshe. And we have a problem saying thank you.
I never even heard those words.
This is
saying it's a general old problem.
I will tell you a story. I was involved at that period of time before I went into work over here, and I'll tell you a story, a big story. The person I worked for was involved in the acquisition of what today is Gourmet Glatt. And the 5,000.
They have like 5 or 6 locations.
Yeah. So he was doing business with a guy, and I was very good in marketing. You know, so I was.
You were or you are?
No, I am. You don't
okay.
know. You have talent that you figure out when life comes. All of a sudden, I figure out I have new talent. Every day I figure out I have a new talent. Of course.
What was the latest talent you discovered?
That I can be married. How to be a husband. I'm learning now how to be a husband.
Now.
Yeah.
Like, on that topic, 3 tips. How to be the best husband?
I just don't want to. The best husband is to always know that I'm admitting I made a lot of mistakes in my first marriage, and it caused whatever it caused. But remember, in life, you know, one of the first gifts I gave my wife, and he's easier to talk. He's going to be a witness to it. Was a painting of Rebbe Tzachai Mushka.
Yeah, yes, beautiful.
A beautiful painting. I at the time was busy. I was about to propose, and I was dating.
Round 2,
yeah. And I asked Izzy to send me a painting of Rebbe Mushka.
You didn't bargain. It was in 2 seconds. And you said, my driver's coming by in an hour to pick it up.
My driver's picking up. And my driver took it and delivered it to her. And she looked and she said, what are you doing? Well, you're sending me a painting of Rebbe Mushka. I barely have a picture of the Rebbe in my house. I'm saying, well, what are you... I said, I figured out what was the power of the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin. The Rebbetzin allowed the Rebbe to be a Rebbe. Nobody knew who the Rebbetzin was. Nobody knew what she looked like. She didn't come to 770 like the Hasidic Rebbetzin. Even the Rebbetzin. She did the Rebbetzin cheesecake and the Rebbetzin kegel. There was nobody knew the Rebbetzin.
Ruben told me, Ruben Shulin.
Yeah.
He told me that the Rebbetzin used to do Yiskar by the only non-Chabad shul in the entire Crown Heights.
Nobody knew who she was.
It
became the big Rebbetzin, became the big. So I said to my wife at the time, I said, you taught me what is really, what it is. I'm Duddy Farkash. She's so quiet and humble and this. She keeps to herself. She has a very successful shaitel business in this neighborhood, but she has her style, I have my style. And she said, listen, at that date, when I figured out what it is, she says to me, listen, I let you be Duddy Farkash. I'm not going to try to change you. You want to go hop on every stage. I'm not going to be there with you. But if you want to go on stages and this is your thing, and then you realize, the tip is number one is listen to your wife. Number two is don't try in a relationship to change yourself. Don't change your partner. Change yourself on all levels. A husband and a wife. And that's an interesting answer I got from the Rebbe in the Igros. I wrote to the Rebbe, I was going to my daughter's wedding last year, and I wrote to the Rebbe that I'm going to my daughter's wedding, and it was the heat of the time I was going through the whole divorce in court and stuff like this, and I wanted to make a simcha for my daughter. So I wrote to the Rebbe, I'll show it to you. It's like I took pictures of it because you look at the timeline, it says Cambria. Went to the Ohel, I gave the Rebbe invitation, but ein Zach, sein Shalom v'Shalva. We're in the middle of everything, but the Chassan is sein ruhig. Should be quiet. And I went into the Ohel, open up Igros, I don't open up the Igros, which has a story for itself right there about the Igros, but that's not my guy that he decided he wants to open up Igros at the Friedrich by the Ohel because he doesn't get to the Rebbe. So he opens up the Igros, you can call him up. A guy who worked for me in BFG went to the Ohel, opened up the Friedrich Rebbe Seekers. The Rebbe says to him, by my name. The Rebbe writes, you were just by my son-in-law. Listen to what he says. So I open up the Igros, and I look at the Igros, and I see the Rebbe writes, I know you're going Sunday to Etzol. It was Motzei Shabbos. I was going Sunday to Etzol. You're going Sunday you're traveling. Take with you a Tehillim and a Tanya. Besides taking your tefillin and your siddur, when you sit on the plane, this, and it's going to say, Al v'zayin, b'sholem, b'shalva, b'menachas. I got my answer. I took the answer and I posted on my family group because I was so touched. The Rebbe me again posted. When I usually open, I get a clear answer. It's going to be happy. It's going to be peaceful. My father says to me, or one of the family members, I think it was my father. My father noticed everything. He says to me, look at the bottom of the page. You're missing the one. The Rebbe writes, "Benegat some shidduch. Akeras habayis, but not your job to educate your wife." So I got an answer about
a double answer.
But the point I want to say, this is the second tip that you want to know in order to have a successful marriage. And the third tip in having a successful marriage is always saying yes. Verstehst? Always, when your wife asks you for something, say yes. If you're going to do it or not, it's a different story. Don't get confrontational.
I know we're always running low on time, and then later on we realize we missed something. The bottom line is, and this is the elephant in the room, I don't want to even give an example because I'm going to get 35 phone calls minimum screaming and yelling that I'm not sensitive. Every time somebody passes away, a 40-year-old lady, a 52-year-old guy, and we know they didn't have any life insurance because it would have costed them $50 to $300 a month if it was long. No matter what it was, universal, or whole life, or term is cheaper, but you get more money. And everybody has to speak to their financial advisor, their life insurance agent that's trained in this. And everybody always says, I want to grab the microphone on them and start screaming and yelling, enough with these campaigns. I'm sick of it. That we have to now raise $2 million when nobody has money to register their kid to camp. And everybody's like, oh, wait for it to be quiet or whatever. It's never the right time to say it. Every chas and kala, the day you get married, call Duddy Farkash. It's cheap. You're 24 years old.
Do you take regular poor people?
Wait. You're 24 years old. The wife is 19 to 25, whatever shidduch crisis. Some of the girls are already older. 99.9% of the time, you're tier 1, tier 2. You're a little overweight. You smoke. You don't smoke. Whatever. There's tricks on how to do everything properly in a legal way on how to get approved. You go to the gym for a few months and you have it revisited. It's cheap. B'muchesh, I have a few $1 million. It's cheap. It's not a lot of money. And go out to a restaurant less. But nobody's saying, no, Rabbi Asdabel or Rabbi Brian are not going to tell them, I'm not being Messiah the Kedushin unless you get life insurance. And then they drop dead, and they get hit by your car, or God forbid, whatever happens. And then the whole community now has to get me videos. If a mother with 7 children. And then if I say anything, you're spitting on the kids. I'm not what is this? I believe that every couple, if they don't have life, they shouldn't be accepted into yeshiva. You don't have life insurance? They just said if you vote for a certain person as mayor, don't come send our kids to some Syrian school. If you don't have life insurance, a couple of $1,000,000, don't come to our yeshiva because then we're going to be stuck not getting tuition. Then the Gan Yisraels are not going to get summer camp, and then they're not going to make shidduchim. You're not going to go to Dvar Benjamin. You're going to have to pay for your kid's wedding. If you don't have $2 to $5 million life insurance, get out of here. Don't be part of our moisid. Now you can't say it.
Do your rates drop because you lost weight?
No. You can't say it. You can't say it because you're in the business, so you're going to give it. But I'm saying it for you. And now tell the world that's watching, why is it accepted that there's a single couple that doesn't have life insurance?
It's not accepted. I want to say something, and I'm going to say it in the clearest way possible. I met 2 young guys a few weeks ago in Shul. They're making money. A lot of young boys are making money now.
Cash advance
or other things. I'm not going to get into what business they're doing. And they say, why is life insurance? I say, you're healthy now? Buy a policy. Buy a policy. I'm not married. Life insurance, you have to buy when you're healthy. Actually, in the 5 towns and most of the non-Lubavitch communities, they do not allow you to go down the aisle if you don't have a life insurance policy on you and your wife. 100%. I'm going to tell you even more so how painful it is. And I wish I could say names. I got approached by one of the, I can say it, Gedalia Shem Tov came to me one day, 15 years ago. So it was a policy on Shluchim. It was expiring. I should save the day. I went and I saved the day. Sad story. Shluchim thought they had a policy. They had no policy. I went and I turned the world upside down to get approved Shluchim as a group. You cannot get Shluchim as a group. You cannot get American insurance as a group because everybody has to be on a pay stub, on a payroll. Not on the Shluchim, on the same payroll. And here I am, I got all the Shluchim a life insurance policy. All they did is to sign and give $90.
And how much do they have approved for?
Listen, I went to the heads of Chabad, talking about Gedalia is a tzaddik because he's the one who came and he begged and I sang and I fought. And, it wasn't just, guy says to me, what does it have to do? America, what does it, Shluchim all over the world have to do with America? I said, everybody belongs to the United States. I took him to the Shluchim convention. I showed him a video. I told him, every shliach, he asked him, he can live in China, he wants to be in America. It's America. They belong, this is where they belong, this is their headquarters. I'm not getting the whole story. All I needed is the people to commit, even though they were upset. Commit, here's a normal life insurance company in America. This is real. All you need to do is sign up so to help people who cannot get life insurance. I went to every head of Chabad who is responsible, and nobody wanted to promote it. Just, they had a meeting, this guys have a meeting, we can't promote this, we're going to promote this. I said, no, don't promote me. Promote your organization. This Shluchim office should have people sign up. America should call up Shluchim, you need to sign up. Now listen, one of the guys himself signed himself up, and his wife dies, he gets a check, but he wouldn't let other people. I said, you got a check 3 months into this. I mean, I can write a book about it. Now, there are so many people.
So when are you writing the book?
I want to say.
You said you read a book 20 times, didn't you?
By the way, I should write a book.
So what are you waiting for?
Writer.
Okay.
We had a famous book writer on a few weeks ago.
Yeah. I want to tell you about life insurance. There are so many ways. And such a simple.
Duddy should have his own podcast.
It's a simple. It's a phone call that you can call. I have now 30 life insurance agencies. 30 life insurance agents
working
in Borough Park and Williamsburg who are working on the RFK. Now, they are making money. I'm probably the thing is that I'm getting the cost from the company that is sponsoring me, office space and things like this. But there are 30 young agents. My nephew, Manny Farkash, who is in this neighborhood, I got into the business. Menachem Farkash from Issaquah, that I got into the business, but he does property and casualty. There are so many guys. This is a noble profession. You have a responsibility for your family. You know what I do when the campaigns?
Dude, my uncle's a film.
Hey, finishing is what do you do?
You know when there's a campaign coming up, the guy that I always give 770 or 360, and I write, get life insurance. No, I say there's nothing. It's not funny.
My uncle told me
because for $20 a month, you could have avoided this whole thing.
My uncle's a big fancy filmmaker. He said, Moshe, you should know. He's 70 now. He did big movies, Ben Stiller, He says, all of my friends who are insurance business, they all did very well financially. He said, looking at everything, all this guy in this business, that, he's 70. All my insurance friends did really well long term.
We can have a podcast for itself how the insurance business works. But I want to tell you, all my clients that I stole 20 years ago, life insurance, if the policy paid up already, the money is doing very well. They have a guaranteed income tax-free in the money, in the life insurance, and they use the money if they want to play the markets or buy bitcoins or buy real estate.
Duddy, you said you got thrown out of 9 schools. Do you have, when you see these guys in the street now, teachers and or principals, is there a sense of revenge, anger? Oh, you're stupid. I made it.
No.
I'm on stage. You're still struggling. Like, what's that feeling like? Because I almost got thrown out of 9 schools.
Almost.
I did got thrown. My parents, my mother would just drive them crazy, school crazy, and whatever. She was a lobbyist for me, but I should have been. I've been thrown out many places. What's that feeling like for you when you see these rebbes who couldn't handle you? This, that. What is there a sense of I won, you lost?
This is a very, very important message that we can learn from Yosef Atzadik. Atem chashavtom l'ro'o v'elokim chashavo l'tovo. And I'm in a sense of making, the Alter Rebbe spoke about it in Tanya. We just finished Perikid Beis. I think it was Perikid Beis, the end of Perikid Beis. The way you're supposed to deal with a friend that does bad to you, that you have to be. Agoyim elachayovim is toyos. Those who made you about arm, like Yosef tells his brother, but Yosef and his brothers is easy, it's a brother. The Alter Rebbe's chiddush over here is, the people are not your brothers who caused you pain to forgive them. And I want to say to you, Be'emes, this is my moral in life, and I'm going to tell you that in 3rd grade I was thrown out of Chayolim. In 4th grade, my father from Chayolim already put me in Lubavitch. In 4th grade, I got put into Lubavitch. 3rd grade, I'm going into Lubavitch in 3rd grade. In 4th grade, 3 months into this, I get thrown out of my 4th grade teacher. Why? Because he wanted me to be the shamash of the Hanukkah party. Now, this is a guy, Moshe, you're a big guy. What we're going to make Shabbos? We make Shamash, the big Duddy Farkash. The whole class is like little 3rd graders. There's a big Duddy. Total Rabbana my Hanukkah, I should say Baal Pez. I don't want to be Shamash. Get somebody else. So I have to be a fat Shamash. I get some. I was a chubby kid. And guess what? They smacked living daylight out of me after that. But because I stood there and the parents are sitting in the room and there's a Hanukkah party and they said, say Total Rabbana. I'm standing there. No, I'm not going to be the Shamash. And after the parents left, at Mitzvah Frasket, you have no idea at Mitzvah Frasket. So when he walked out of class, I took his coffee cup. In those days, the teachers used to smoke, and there was cigarette butts, and it's black Schwarze, it's a Saldik, a Café Toki. And I splattered it all over the wall, And when he came back, he said, whoa, what's going on over here? And another kid said, he's fine.
A Meiser.
Yeah, a Meiser. They got thrown out. They said, I'm back in Talmud Torah Meir Shorim. In Kita Zayin, I got thrown out of Meir Shorim. I go back to Chabad and got thrown out from Chabad. I said, it's Chabad, Rishon LeZion, got thrown out. Hey. Bottom line, at age 17, I'm a dropout. I'm sitting here in Crown Heights. All my Rosh Hashivas, my Magid Shiurim, the one that had a Magid Shir, they used to throw me out every day, walking to give a shir. Talking about Lubavitch Chos, there's a big rabbi today in Lubavitch, big rabbi. To walk into class in Kfar Chabad, to walk into the Shir Gemara and say, Farkash, get out. A few years ago, a friend of mine made a wedding in Israel, and he was at the wedding. And I helped him. He printed a sefer. I helped him. I gave him
the guy who threw you out every time.
You helped him print the sefer.
I print the sefer. I gave him.
So you could throw it in?
By the way, I learned it from the mother of my children, the uncle, Yosef Mochkin. The old Yosef, Yosef Mulas. Used to live on an empire, next to Empire Shtival. Mullah, Mullah's old brother, Mullah and Yossel, the two brothers that came out of Russia, the whole story.
What was Beis Shmuel's named after him?
Yes.
Okay.
His brother Yossel, he was my mentor. When I came to America, he was my mentor. One of the things he spoke to me when I spoke to him about one of the things is forgive, move on, because he went through
more than forgiving. Sponsor the sefer.
Yeah. So this guy at a wedding of a friend in Israel. My kids were with me. And I said, this is my teacher. He used to teach me in yeshiva. He turns to my kid, and I said, this is my best teacher. Look, and I hugged him, and I loved him. So he turns to my kid, and I said, I don't know if your father told you, but I wasn't his best teacher. I threw him out from class every day. But I'm big enough to apologize, and I'll tell you that the reason I threw you out, the reason why I threw your fathers out, because everybody in the class was nice and quiet boy. Comes in this 250-pound, 13-year-old with big payas, sitting in front of my face, moving around in his chair all the time, and I always ask questions that nobody thinks about. So I said, listen, it's either I'm going to turn the class into a comedy show, but this big blonde guy with the blue eyes, so I'm going to teach the rest of the 20 kids. And this is the reason why I forgive them. Doesn't matter what happened. Where are you today? What do you want to live with? What do you want you want to be stuck in the pain? Move on in your life. Move on. Let go. And I'm telling you, I was sitting over here, I'm giving you a bigger story. I'm sitting over here in my house in Crown Heights, knocking on the door, 10 o'clock at night. A Yerushalmi teacher, the teacher that threw me out in 4th grade. Blessed memories on Malachtik Gan Eden. He, the one who beat me up and threw me out and embarrassed me in front of the whole class. And some of the kids today are shluchim in that class, are shluchim today, big Lubavitch, Choshev, Mishpachas in Yerushalayim, and all over the world. Throws me out. Knocks on my door, 10 o'clock at night. Ich habe gewinnt 770. Und ich habe gefragt, wo wohnt Duddy Farkash? And someone gave me an address. So I welcome him. I came down. I said, he sits down. He breaks down crying. He says, I don't forgive myself all these years. I said, but I forgave you. I see you in Yerushalayim, sometimes you say good Shabbos nicely. I said, I know you say good Shabbos nicely to me, but I don't know what, if you're holding, I said, I don't hold any grudges. And he said to me his sad story, the way his life has been destroyed, and it goes to, and he lost that child. I wrote out a check to him. I hugged him, went, and this. Every time I go to Yerushalayim, I went to visit him. I got a phone call one night. I'm living in Muncie already. 3 o'clock in the morning, I get a phone call. Menachem Weissvish, Chave Kedish in Yerushalayim is calling me. He says to me that the teacher passed away because he knew I used to always come to Israel, visit him, chazik him, give him a ride, give him money. He says, your teacher passed away. I says, call me 3 o'clock in the morning. Usually I don't, my phone is switched off. It's 3 o'clock. I'm in the middle of doing him tired. And I know especially it was for you. Is there a message you want me to tell him? He says, tell him that I forgive him with all my heart. And I want to thank him because every step of the way that I went through in my life with teachers and parents and the process that I went through the last couple of years brought me to a better place. And this is the way you have to look at things. And forgive and let go. And this is the secret.
Beautiful, very inspiring. We have a special announcement to make. We have a new corporate sponsor. It costs us money to put out episodes. The show is not free. It
costs to live.
It costs money to live and to produce, and we're in a professional studio. We have top guests, and we have Roskins. Roskins is multi-generational. I'm so proud.
I'm sitting over here for the last hour looking at this Roskins fish, and I'm thinking to myself, Berke used to be like, I used to love him. He used to always come, Duddy.
That teddy bear.
There's like the edges of the. He knew I love carp fish. But in Crown Heights, not too many people love carp fish because the American carp fish is dry. But I loved it, and he used to make the edges, smoke them for me, and bake them, and come and sit down. I used to come sit in his house, and I'm watching Beck, and watching the fish, and I'm watching this, and I'm saying to myself, "Wen geht mich in Essen?"
Yossi tells me that you cannot get this kichel anywhere. He found a bakery that makes special herring kichels. Not the thick sugar kichel, and then you have to slide a, where's the herring going to fall off? So he tells me he has a bakery that custom makes him these kichels, and you have to worry about hechsher. It has the okay, the Ben Yoel Levi, all the shalom, but I'm sure his children are doing a great job. And we have over here the gruber, if the chevra want to see the sherim, covers all ground.
Rube, I want to tell you something. I'll pay it forward. Worked for me because I was Berke. I used to love Berke. Was nice to me. We used to come some chasteres to his house. Shloime is a classmate of mine.
Yeah, Shloime and Yossi, they run the place, no?
Very good. Shloime is a classmate. Oh, man, you're sure? Because you have to be today with kichel, you have to make sure they have gluten-free ones.
Yossi tells me, he gives me a tour of the store yesterday, tells me he has 30 flavors of herring.
Wow.
Not 30 that he could have. In the display case, 30 flavors of herring. I took 4. He tells me these are some of the popular ones. Pepper-crusted schmaltz.
Yes.
Herring pistachio. You hear?
Wow.
They make pistachio donuts. Now they have pistachio.
No, because today they have chocolate Dubai. Maybe you should call it Herring Dubai.
Get there?
John Tendy, Clappy.
John Tendy, the saxophone player, I played at over 5,000 Jewish weddings, says that the matas herring from Roskin's, he's never tasted anything so good in his life. So we have the hechsher from the
I'm also
Yidden.
happy because Roskin got the best shout out from the guy, John Tendy, for free. And Baruch Hashem, they're paying in now. So I'm feeling a lot better.
I want to tell you, I was tired of telling you that Shlomo has been a classmate of mine. And, I think it was one of the yard sites of one.
Look at this.
He ended up having it in my house. And the shul, I had a Chabad of Muncie, a Chabad of Olympia, I had a shul in my house. And we was
what do you think? With the jalapeno pepper on the top.
I
bet he made a shot before.
You got to turn around. You got to see the camera. You got to see the jalapeno on the pepper. You got to do, this looks fire.
Did I give you a piece of herring?
I know.
I'll tell you that as you can see that I took upon myself 2 years ago to think twice before I put something out of my mouth and think twice before something comes out of my mouth.
This is very healthy.
So it changed me. So it was a life changer. It's not about surgery. I did every surgery in the book you can imagine. By the way.
I was asking him, how do you do it?
We can do the diet episode while we're talking about eating food.
But you didn't know diet? All diet?
All diet.
Wow.
All diet and workout. All diet and workout. Because I'll tell you, I did every surgery. I did the bend,
the sleeve,
the bend, and this, and the bypass. And I remember that 2, 3, 4 years ago, I went into a big surgeon in Israel. And I said, is there any other surgery we can do for me to, because it doesn't go anywhere.
Tried them all.
I bypassed every surgery. I figured out the system. He says to me, he looks at my file. I bought all the files, and he looks at my file and he goes, I have a surgery for you. But this I need a brain surgeon. We're gonna cut your brain, because if you're gonna this by you is the Mayach Shalit al 11.
These Tanya, these Freckman Tanya.
Yeah. You want to talk about Clapman? The biltong looks like I've been watching this biltong for a very long time.
Now C.H. Butcher has the restaurant on Troy Avenue, the butcher, the fancy butcher.
This is protein. You probably gonna have this, right? All protein.
By the way, if you're on a diet, how about this? Read the ingredients. There's nothing in it. 0 sugar. 0 dietary fibers added. 0 sugar added.
All protein.
Only 3 grams of fat, which is very little. You open a super snack, it's 20 grams of fat. 3 grams of fat, and a little bit of cholesterol, and a little bit of sodium. All natural,
protein,
dried meats. It's right off the behemoth.
I want to tell you, this is an unbelievable product.
16 grams of protein.
Biltong, I told you I was in South Africa. This is one of the best things that they have over there, and that now C.H. Butcher actually happens to be one of the best.
Butcher,
Kabaka family?
Kabaka. I want to tell you, they do an amazing job on the meats. They have the aged meats and the chick. Everything they do, I'm telling you, even though right now I live in the 5 towns.
Oh, 5 towns? No more Muncie.
No, not a Muncie.
Dude, what do you prefer?
He graduated.
But the thing is...
Dude, what do you prefer, Muncie or 5 towns?
I'm not going to eat it, but I wanted to show you.
Oh, you're not going to eat it? Even protein?
Oh, perfect. No, it's not... Being in a diet is a way of life. Even though something says 0 sugars, it doesn't mean you have to eat all day. If you had breakfast and you're not hungry, wait until you get hungry. Eat when you're hungry. Don't eat when you're not hungry.
Muncie or 5 towns?
Moshe, I can't eat enough of this stuff. Can't get enough of this herring.
You know why the fat people stay fat?
Why?
Because when they always have to finish their plate. And when they finish, they walk into the kitchen, they see the pulka sticking out of the pot, they grab it also. You understand? So I want to have herring now. And I want to have this biltong because...
Even if it's protein, yeah, no problem.
It smells
Duddy,
so right.
Muncie or 5 towns? What do you prefer? Hold on. Crown Heights, Muncie, 5 towns. Final question.
Final question. I'm going to give it with a Rebbe's answer because we...
Yeah.
Yom Yom says, my life is a Yom Yom. I'm Chayeno. You look from the first day I was sponsoring that Yom Yom, which is
really?
Yeah, one day.
Big Balt Stucker. We didn't talk about it. You're a Big Balt Stucker.
No. One day we'll tell you the story how I ended up being the sole sponsor of the Yom Yom for the past many years. But the Yom Yom says, what's meant is when you say goodbye, you say something that's going to take you on the road. Take you on the road. So, what was your question?
What do you prefer, Crown Heights, Muncie, or 5 towns?
So, when I was at one of my lowest parts of my life, I was 15 years old. By the way, if you ever saw the Sima Rambam video that I made for Mogul Duddy, which now Sima Rambam is coming to Chamishasa B'Shvat, and Mogul Duddy never called me. In 1 year, he doesn't stop calling me, and it happens to be that year I did the first time see him. I finished Rambam for the first time. So that year when I was in a very tough situation, I was in a lot of trouble. I got thrown out from a yeshiva, and my sister passed away. It was in a very, very, very low place. I was standing by the Rebbe, and I gave the Rebbe a. It was after my family was there. It was Tov Shemem Tes. The Rebbe spoke Shabbos Parshas Balo Yisro, and the Rebbe spoke. All of a sudden, in the middle of Hebrew, the Rebbe says, "And how does somebody know where to go? You know." In times of Mishkan, there was Amud Onon. Amud Onon got up, you moved. You stayed. How do you know a chassid? How does somebody know? And I said, I was at a point where I wanted to go anywhere but Yeshiva. The Rebbe says that wherever you are, this is where the Amud Onon wants you to be. A chassid, wherever you are. We're sitting in a podcast now because the Amud Onon wants you to be here. The Amud Onon wants us to be. So he asked him, what's better, Crown Heights, Monsey, this? Everywhere. This is where it is.
Basically, wherever fine foods are sold, Raskin's herring is sold. And if it's not sold there, you go to the manager and say, if you're a fine food establishment, you're going to get Raskin's herring. And you're going to obviously check out CH Butcher.
Both Crown Heights businesses.
Duddy, how do people reach out to you to start their financial planning and, most important, their life insurance right now?
Financial planning in the Hasidic world is a very difficult word because all of a sudden you have another bar mitzvah, another chas, and the guy says put away, and all of a sudden a Pesach program, and all of a sudden you have a call. Financial planning is very important, but protect yourself. Protect those you love.
How do they reach you?
Very simple. You call RFK Financial. Google it, RFK Financial. You'll see there's a picture of myself there. You can reach out to any Farkash.
You work 24 hours a day. If somebody wants to specifically meet with you, you'll take new clients?
I will help anybody, no matter what, from a teacher to a driver to a newlywed, from a bus driver to a taxi driver to whatever, anybody that is willing, that
even
says,
a CEO of a company.
CEO, take from a guy that makes $100 a day or $100 a week to a guy that makes $1 billion a year, no matter what. If you care for yourself, for your loved one, and you want to protect yourself and your money and your loved ones, do yourself a favor.
RFK.
Call RFK.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
much. Always a pleasure. Great
Thank you, Izzy. Thank you, Moshe. Yisrael, Moshe, and David is tegen van Miyad Mamish. So, tegen van Miyad Mamish was echt te golem met Israël.
Wow, we have Miyad. Whoa.
Moshe, Yisrael, David.
Whoa.
Thank you very much.
Shkoyach.